Hello everyone, and my webcam is not showing. Yesterday actually I had a bit of an issue apparently with my volume. So I've tweaked the settings a little bit and I've tried to increase the mic volume and decrease the all other computer sounds. So hopefully you can hear me better today and you won't be having a jump scare if any notification comes on the computer. So I'm trying to add my webcam here again, just so that you can see me. And I've had a notification, I don't know from where and why. Oh, here we go. I think this should be it. Let me just move this to the correct place and bam, that should be it. Apparently I've deleted my video capture device from this layout yesterday, so just one smaller tweak. Oh, okay, it's already done. Yeah, great. Now moving on, yesterday we had a bit of an issue. Our test wasn't editing sponsors, it was trying to create new ones. Let's run our test again just to have a quick reminder of what was going on. PHP artisan test filter sponsor. I did a little bit of digging yesterday. I was pretty convinced that the problem was that some sort of validation issue, but it was actually a bit simpler than that. I've tinkered with this, I don't know, maybe 3 minutes to just read the dump, and I quickly saw what was happening. So in this dump, sorry, the test didn't run, but it was throwing an error that it couldn't post to this route to edit a sponsor. So in this dump we can see that the put method is not supported for this route. My thinking was that sorry, wrong test here. Excuse me. My thinking was that since we could post, we could also put. But what I was thinking is that maybe the put path method didn't exist, which was kind of stupid to think that, because the error message tells us that the put method is not supported by the route, not by the test. And going to the Laravel documentation, we can see that we actually could use the put or the patch methods to make the request. So the next thing I did, I went to the PHP artisan route list, and then I checked what routes were available on the Nova dash something. Oh, my keyboard is low on battery. Let's hope it is enough for the stream. Otherwise I'll need to grab a cable here. So we need to look for the Nova, not Nova API, Nova, let me just check that. It was on the terminal. It was Nova, right? Just Nova, not Nova API. Let's see the route itself. Nova API sponsors. Okay, so it's Nova API dash resource, and we can send a post, a delete, or a post with an action. And we are actually trying to edit a resource. Let's see if we can find a controller with that name. And we have Nova API resource ID, and this is for the resource show controller or the resource update controller, which is what we want in this case. And we can pass in a put, but we need to send the resource ID because we are editing. So I actually forgot this little bit because we copied the create test and then we needed to do the changes for it to be the correct things to use on the edit test. I don't know why this is green. Okay, so we need to pass in the sponsor that we've already created on line 11, sponsor ID, and then yes, we will be using put put, because that's the method that route expects. And let's remove our DD from the test. Let's run this. Hi, Francisco. And our tests finally passed. So this was a long set of streams to do a stable testing, but it kind of, I think, helps you to realize that sometimes development is not straightforward. You need to deal with some hiccups along the way, try different things, talk to the people that are watching your stream, and all that can make something that you expect to take a really small time to accomplish take a bit longer. So going back just to go over what we did, for this functionality, we went and create a migration to add the published column to the sponsors, and then we went to the Nova. Sorry, someone is beeping outside. And we went to the Nova sponsor resource and added a new column for the published Boolean. So it's a checkbox, I think. I'm sure. And I think that was about it. We can actually, since this is a repo that I've had to clone, I can't have access right now to all the things that I've changed. Maybe here I can see that. Let's open the changes. So yeah, in the about controller, I've removed a variable that we were not using, and I'm remembering a small little thing that we can do to improve this. We'll go there in a little second. And on this Livewire view, I will show it a little bit better when we change something. We changed the way that we were querying the sponsor to have that published flag, so that we only have the sponsors that are published showing. And on the sponsor model, I had, and it's not here, I've had to add a scope that we used on the controller, so the published scope. And then on the Nova resource, we've already seen what we did. We've created a factory for the sponsor, fixed a user factory to have the same user working on our test so that we could log in, because we had to set that user on our PHP unit .xml configuration file. And then we installed pest, created our tests to test if we can edit a sponsor, or if we can create one, both published and unpublished. And that pretty much sums up the task. Now, for the little thing that I don't think I've shown on stream, I had the model. Where is the sponsor model? Sponsor model. I had initially made a scope here, so it was something like public function published scope, or scope published. I'm not really remembering right now the full syntax of this, and it was probably receiving a query. And then we did where something like this. I'm writing pseudocode, so don't use this on your project. Where published was 1, and then on that Livewire controller, we were calling that like so to filter the sponsors by published status. But then I found out that we have global scope for published. It was being used on the events. So I've just reused this code. I've deleted what I had on the sponsor model, and since it is a global scope, we can call it directly on wherever we want to query the models. And this is it. We can see it. Let me see if we have any. Okay, called ones. So what I've just told you, that it is a global scope, it's now not working. Okay, this is funny. Published, and that's what we're calling it. Let's go to the published scope, and what's the name? Published. Okay, let's see how this is done on the events. I'm just about sure that this has worked before, because this is not the first time that I'm watching this method working. But hey, let's backtrace this. Let's go to the events list, and we're only calling the event paginate. Okay, maybe we have something on the events model. So it was actually a good thing that I've tried to open the website and see this working, because otherwise I would just push this to our repo, and then in production it would blow. So apparently we need to add the global scope on the booted property for the model. Since it's Laravel 9, let's see if it is any different on Laravel 10, just to make sure that we can do this a bit different. Let's just, on the documentation, search for global scopes and check if we still need to add it to the booted property. So writing a global scope is simple, and we need to see how to apply global scopes. And yes, we need to add it to the booted property on our model. Let's just copy what we had on the events. Sorry, my voice is failing. And now our sponsors are using the published scope as well. Refresh the page, and we still have a problem. Why? Sponsor extends model. Okay, we are calling the right scope. Yes, we are. Maybe this could be a matter of PHP artisan clear compiled. Yes, let's accept that correction. And it doesn't still exist. Let's try, and I'm thinking it could be a cache thing. What is the command that I'm looking for? It's one that I've talked about on a previous live stream, and it's PHP artisan optimize, and then we pass in a flag. Let's see if we can find that flag. PHP artisan optimize. Let's read the help. Nope, I know it's a flag, and yeah, it doesn't show here. Let's see if the artisan sheet, I can never get that right, tells us something. Optimize PHP, optimize clear here. It was actually not a flag. PHP artisan optimize clear, and let's refresh our website, and it's still not working. Okay, so Let's get a better read on the global scopes. And go back to our code so we can watch that simultaneously. So let's go back to our Novus. Oh god, I forgot. Where is that? Where is the scope? Scopes, published scope. Okay. So to write a global scope, we need to define a class that implements the Illuminate database eloquent scope. Yep, done. And then it requires us to implement one method that's called apply. And then we may add constraints inside. So the apply takes a builder and a model and returns void, and we write our query here. So our query to apply is where published equals 1. Okay, first part is working as expected. And let's go back to how to apply this global scope. To assign a global scope to a model, you should override the model's booted method and invoke the model's add global scope method. That's what we did. We have the booted method and we are calling the add global scope and we are passing it our custom scope. And it's called the published scope and it's linking to the correct scope. And then after adding the scope in this example, we can call okay, this is not what we want. What this will do is and every time that you query the sponsors, it will add the published flag, but in our admin panel we don't want to use that scope, so this is not what we want. Anonymous global scopes, what is this? Nope, this is instead to have a class to write your own scope, you do that on the model booted property. Local scopes allow you to define common sets of query constraints you might easily reuse throughout your application. So you may need to frequently retrieve all the users that are popular. Okay, I think that this is it. But you see, these are the scopes like what we had previously. You define the scope within the model. What I was hoping to do, I thought that it would work like that also, is to define a scope by itself and then call it on a model where you want to. So instead of having to repeat this published scope in all of your models, you could just define it once, maybe import it to your model and call it where you need it. Dynamic scopes, no, it's for parameters. I don't think, yeah, because if you set a global scope on your model, you then need to call it without global scopes anytime that you wish to exclude that. Okay, so yeah, apparently we can't reuse this the way that I was thinking. Let's go back to the way that we had it. So the events, every time that they are listed, yep, I'm just thinking, let's try and go with the global scope for a second and then see how this affects our admin panel. So let's go back and add it to the booted and in our filament events list, not the events but the sponsors. What's the name? Support us. Let's go ahead and what is, yes, have that like so. Our page should be working. Unknown column. Maybe I forgot to run the migrations. Database. Let's add our database here so we can see it. Let me just hide this. I'm just setting the database on. I'm just trying to set the database here on PHP Storm. I haven't done so previously. And we're back. Let's see our tables. Got it. Our sponsors table. And we probably need to PHP artisan migrate. So yeah, it was the same problem that we had previously because I changed branches and I haven't run the migrations. So now we have the published column, great. And if we refresh our page, we have the sponsors. Let me check if we have sorry, words are running away from me. We don't have sponsors created. Let's create two quickly. One published and the other one unpublished. And the email address, we can get it from the user factory. The credentials don't match the records. Because apparently it's local. Okay. Let me see this. So we have this user, PHP artisan db seed, and I think we can pass a class. I mean, I know we can pass a class. It's just a matter of how. Artisan db seed help, and then yeah, class. God. It's the user seeder. User seeder class. And what happened? Duplicate entry for local. I'm pretty sure that user on the database, oh, it was local, but on the user seeder, oh, okay. So probably, so on our tests, the factory is running, and on our DB seed, the user seeder is running. Okay, so we're logged in. Let's create two sponsors. Published. Yeah, let's go with this. And let's use our URL. This is published and it's a platinum sponsor. Let's create this one and add another unpublished. Same URL. Let's try and find another file. Just a second as I'm running through my disk to find an image that I'm pretty sure I saved on here. Yeah, and it's also a platinum sponsor, but this one is published, unpublished. So what does it look like on our list? Yep, see? We have one user, we have one sponsor on our list, but we have two sponsors on our database. Because we added global scope on our sponsor model, it's being also applied to the sponsor list. There's probably a way to go around this. Let me see how this is done on the events. Do we have any events on the database? We don't. Let's just see the Nova resource for the events. If there's anything that is, yep, there we go. The problem that we had is being solved here. And since I knew that the global scope was being applied to the events, it probably had a way to go around this. So what is happening here is that for the index of the event resource, we are specifying that we want it to run without our global scope, and we need to do the same thing for our sponsors. Let me just see where Susanna inputted this, so it's on the same place. It's before the fields. Let me, yeah, no annotations, we don't need that. Let's add this, and now we should have two sponsors on our list on Nova and one sponsor on our website. The image is not working, but it shouldn't be a problem. It's probably because I haven't done the sync, the symlink for my publish. Let's try and edit this one. Let's call it published 2, and just like our tests, it should be listing it. Great. Now, one thing that we could do, but I'm not going to because I don't know if you're still there with me, still interested. This took such a long time. We could go on and on our tests, we are having some backend tests, and we could also do some front-end tests. So we would create the sponsors, both published and unpublished, write a test that checks that when we are entering our support us page, that both sponsors are there. We can do it if you want to. Just leave me a comment, and if there's any interest on your behalf, we can go on and do the front-end tests. But I think that this is pretty much it. Susanna asked me to update this project for Laravel 10, and I think that that's the next thing we will do on the stream. No, I have not forgotten about the other project we've started. It's just that one I can do it whenever I want to, and this work for Larabelles is something that was actually requested of me to do if I wanted to, and I do want to. And yeah, I will be sharing that, upgrading a project from Laravel 9 to Laravel 10, and also I think we need to migrate, as Dee told me, from Nova 3 to Nova 4 exactly, and we'll actually need to start with that. Migrating Nova, then migrating Laravel version, the Laravel package. Framework, sorry. My brain just froze. But yeah, let me know if you want to do the test together for the front end, and this is it for now. Join me probably tomorrow, I think, for continuing on with this project, and see you sometime.